Hey, what's good, Clash in Canada? How are you? Yeah, I was trying to mess with. Hey, Queen Bee. Hey, Ive. Hey, what's going on, Cher? Yeah, so I was trying to mess with the new live streaming feature. I couldn't quite figure it out. There's encoding software. I got two different types that I need to figure out. Hopefully in Idaho, I'll have a little bit of time. I have a lot of old footage to go through, though, including some important stuff that I've been meaning to edit. So the foundation of my channel really, in fact, started due to an act of corruption or several acts of corruption in Washington state government. Um, I wanted to post to the media sooner. I still have the files on an encrypted hard drive somewhere, um, and in multiple locations. Some of them offshore, basically showing that the state of Washington was involved in a giant corruption ring. So basically, I started off as a whistleblower. I worked for the University of Washington Medical Center between March 2014 and and let's see, I think it was September 2018. Yeah, like August 29th is when I left of 2015. So I worked there for just about a year and a half. So basically, when I first started working for them, I didn't really notice that big of a problem. I had open heart surgery from a congenital birth defect there, which honestly, after working there and figuring out their safety and sterile sterility is not in compliance with either private accreditations or federal. So basically, the state hospital is probably the worst place to go to get care, uh, just because of how like basically they meet the minimal of standards if they even meet the standards. And they get away with doing the littlest that they can because they are government. So basically, I don't want to trash the doctors or the nurses. They all typically mean well, except for a couple doctors in higher positions. So I decided to take this position with the University of Washington. And so over time, I was doing their purchasing for the clinic, and basically became a little bit of everything, underpaid. Obviously, they took offense to me asking for more money. Even the unions were starting to get at me for doing more than just my actual job. But so basically, what happened? I started seeing all these people that would go into work, and they would always ask for more and do less. Um, and I'm talking about the administrative side, not so much the doctors. Some of the doctors had some issues because they were kind of in a position of power and ran things. So obviously, there's a lot of lobbyists who are in government. So basically, I became in a position where I was deciding capital funds for the medical clinic alone. And I was getting requests to buy medical equipment on the assertion that a doctor might come to the hospital, might, quote unquote. Um, I did a little bit of research into it. The doctor who requested it was also the head of the medical clinic. And then right below that person was uh, an administrator who had left and gave his power as an administrator to I'm trying to remember. I think she was a RN3, so she was pretty much deciding what rules portrayed, and she was pretty much administratively in charge. So basically, after doing an investigation, I found out that they were trying to bribe this doctor with this medical equipment just so maybe he would come and bring practice to the clinic. So basically, I rejected the claim for this equipment just because it didn't look like the doctor was going to come without it. And so I was semi-involved in the union at this point, and kind of like filling them out because I knew there wasn't quite something right in the union itself. So I was kind of filling them out, not really. I was active, but I wasn't too active. I was kind of investigating both sides. I was trying to build a relationship with people in the union, even administratively. But then I started realizing these people don't care. And what hit me was when people in my clinic started getting sick. Of course, I went to the union first because I had already built some relationship, and they like in words they told me, they were telling me, hey, we got your back, we're gonna help you. So but in actions it was actually the opposite. And then I learned that they were actually going around me and telling the administration that I was trying to cause trouble, and that I was using drugs. Basically, all unions, public unions, are wrong because all they care about is money. So instead of going to the union, I really should have went to the media, maybe got an attorney. So, so I didn't do things right, but people were getting sick, as I found out later on. It People were getting sick because there was carbon monoxide being brought into the building on purpose. Um, the administration knew about it, and they were doing it on purpose. They told the third party contracted building or building engineers to purposely change the air handler unit in the computer to have air suck up from the parking garage below and go into the room that primarily myself, I was the only one in that room. Sometimes we'd have a biomedical electronics person that would come in, but he wasn't there enough to get a full exposure. But when he did spend a lot of time, he'd complain about getting migraines and other issues. So basically, it got so bad for myself, and there's a doctor that I would talk to from time to time. We actually became friends, not just because of this, but so basically, they were sucking the air into his office and he was getting sick. Other people in the clinic complained of similar issues, feeling nauseous, the sinus issues, migraines. So basically, they made it look like they were doing a investigation. I have emails because the third party, which is a contractor of the state of Washington, doing the investigation, I was kind of on their ass about the whole thing and like communicating with them, even though I was suffering severe medical distress at the time. So what hit the fan to lead me to filing a medical report on this? I was standing at a bus stop in downtown Seattle, and all of a sudden, like in between these two buildings, I could see the Space Needle, and I'm waiting. It's just before sundown. I'm waiting there. I didn't really feel good that day, but I knew, hey, I got to do something. So I'd called out earlier in that day after blacking out in my living room. So I called out of work, ended up going to an event in downtown Seattle after sleeping for most of the day. And so I'm waiting for this bus, and all of a sudden I see this Space Needle like kind of dance and wiggle. I just barely made it on that bus, which took me across 520 to where my car was parked in Kirkland, Washington. And so I knew, yeah, there's something up. I should go to the hospital and get checked. So I went to Overlake Medical Center in Bellevue, Washington, because it had no relationship with the University of Washington at all. So I was looking for a hospital that was kind of a third party that didn't have any services dealt by the University of Washington, because I knew at that time that I was under attack through environmental factors. So basically, they diagnosed me with carbon monoxide poisoning, and this was, 16 hours after being in the building, being exposed to the chemical. Actually, no, wait. That day I went in for an hour and felt sick, so they made me go home or told me to go home. And then the following day, I blacked out again. Or I'm trying to remember. It was so long ago. It was either the day after but basically, Overlake Medical Center emergency room doctor called the fire department to go check out the building, and then that's when the university realized, oh, hey, we need to quit pumping air into that room. So I actually talked to the building engineer, and I figured out a way to look at the service call records. I had a hard drive that with a bunch of data that I was taking right before leaving, but basically, I took a hard drive and I was trying to compile data, but as I learned later, they have this thing in the system where if you try to take data and they catch you, they will actually put a program to wipe your data. So most of my data on that hard drive got wiped, except for a file with some emails, which I still have. So basically, there was a record of after the fire department coming, the engineer got called out right away and he changed the settings. So basically, it led to myself being on FMLA because every time I went into the building, I would get sick. And so I was kind of on the third-party investigator, which wasn't really third-party because they were a contractor with the University of Washington. And I have an email that says, yeah, if we were to find something, we couldn't disclose it anyways. Otherwise, we would basically be a conflict to our employer and our contract, which I was like, this is wrong. So I didn't really fight it too much. And instead of fighting it like I should have, I ended up leaving that hospital, and I got hired on with a different hospital, which I was working with already at the time. And the person that hired me, a great woman at that hospital, she was also a professional standards, a private professional standards, like president of Isham. And basically, I still had access. So when I severed my employment with the University of Washington, I was still in good relationship with a lot of people, and basically I was just trying to feel better and not get sick every time I went to work. And so I was already working in sterile processing over at the hospital. And then as I was learning to become certified, I found some of the worst things that you could really find. Instruments were going out that were starting to rust, with surgical debris all like stuck in the joints. Just horrible. And then some of the people weren't doing the job right. Um, so basically, we talked to them between um, my new boss, and we're like, yeah, if you don't change this, we're gonna have to report you to CMS. We're gonna have to report you to the CDC. So government, you need to hold government accountable. Otherwise, people are gonna get sick. They don't want to do a good job. They don't want to actually serve people. It's all about collecting welfare. And I saw that as people would bring that topic up, like I would see it. I would see people going to work and just standing around, wasting time, wasting taxpayer money. And I'm not talking trash about uh, most of my coworkers. A lot of people in that clinic, and even who worked at the hospital, tried doing their job to the best that they could. Yeah, there were uh, a lot of people that didn't really care. Most of the problem is in administration. They don't know how a job needs to be done, and they will tell people in an authoritative figure how it should be done when they have no idea. That's where most of the issues with the University of Washington started, or from what I noticed. Um, so basically that, and then a mix of seeing people like Gavin Syme questioning his local government, and then Tim Eyman in Washington, where I'm from, bringing up the $30 car tabs because they were trying to raise it, and they actually recently, um, in the STA areas, you can pay thousands of dollars for your car tabs now. So basically, yeah, it's just government theft, unaccountability. So yeah, like that's why I do what I do. And I'm always trying to spend my time investigating things. So basically, uh, there's going to be a lot going on tonight. There's going to be a lot of auditors out. Um, I'm not saying where. You'll all figure out where we are after we go live. We might break off in the groups, but yeah, that's really why I do what I do, because so I was a target of retaliation for trying to do what was right, and change their guidelines on what? The 1,000. I was gonna end that anyways. So basically that's why I do what I do, because like you got to hold these people accountable in any organization. And much love to you whistleblowers that are out there every day, going and basically suffering, um, because they'll lash out on you, especially when they find out that you're trying to do the right thing. So much love to those whistleblowers out there, that are just going in day to day, and trying to figure out ways to change the organization that they're in. Not all government workers are bad people. There's a lot of good ones in there, that are hiding, that monitor, um, what's going on in their organization. And so even though sometimes I seem like um, I get upset at cops and stuff, it's not always the case. Like last night, we found uh, a reasonable officer that was actually pretty decent, even though there was a situation going on. So it it's the whole fact that uh, you need to have people inside, and then you need to have the public. The public needs to watch these people, and they need to basically, a whistleblower should come out into the public eye when needed, and get the public to surround them and help them fix whatever is going on. Um, that's a mistake I made, was not taking it out to the public, not bringing it up even civilly in a court of law. Um, Basically, I worked this other job, sterile processing, which is a really caustic job. Um, you don't realize how caustic it is until you're working every day in that environment. Um, I heard about a lot of people who've done it for like 20 years getting cancer and dying, among other weird illnesses. Um, so basically, I kept getting worse, and then I started blacking out at this other job, and it's because I had prior chemical exposure. So I got this weird. So I'm still prone to chemical attack. That's why I yelled at the cops that were pepper spraying the guys in Tempe and wearing a respirator, because I still am sensitive to chemicals. Um, so basically, I'm not gonna um, name the doctor that I worked with on here, but he wrote a paper about it. He got some doctors from Harvard and some others. So this is an actual new diagnosis uh, within the last some years. He's still actually working for them, and that's why I don't want to bring his name up, because he's actually still working for them. Great guy. So I guess people are still getting sick at that hospital, because when they did this, the building was fairly new, and when they did this, somehow they blew fiberglass fragments into the building. So basically, we all got exposed with fiberglass fragments, as well as carbon monoxide. Some people still get sick because there's remaining exposure in that building. Honestly, they should have had to move out of that building, and it's don't go there. It's East Side Specialty Center in Bellevue, Washington. Um, there's still trace amounts of environmental exposure as of last year, when I went in there for the first time in years, which they ended up trying to kick me out, because they were saying, "Oh, you're not HIPAA trained," and it's like, okay, I did this for how many years? So basically, that's my story, and that's why I do what I do. So if you encounter a whistleblower, just just support them, help them, and then let them know. If they don't know, let them know of ways that they can publish it and bring it out even anonymously to the public. Awesome. So, yeah. So, Tempe against police violence out of Arizona United News. He still needs subs. Go check him out. I'll put link to his profile. He's doing awesome work in Tempe. Trying to get a civilian review board after another young person was murdered. Actually, a young kid, Antonio Arce. So basically, he's trying to get accountability and justice for the city of Tempe, and he really needs more love. So him, and then AZ Desert News, he's always doing research for us. He's not super active, but he he does a lot of great stuff on the back end for us. And he goes live whenever there's something major happening in his community. So there's AZ Desert, and then there's Big Ant TV. He's out with us a lot, and he's been focusing on police related stuff lately. He's kind of more of a gaming and just general YouTube channel, but he's been trying to focus more on police and government accountability. And then there's Share the Footage as well. He doesn't really go out a whole lot, but when he does, he probably needs live stream. He does some really awesome stuff in the back end. Our YouTube channel, our news channel, Arizona United News, also needs subs. I tried getting it up and active, but I started working, and basically stuff that I had for it ended up not being newsworthy anymore, so I missed the time. So I'm trying to work on Arizona United News, and then El Charo Negro needs subs. I'll post them all in the comments. If I missed anyone, tell me now. Awesome. Thanks. So, and News Now Phoenix, can't forget about that man. He supports us even though he can't go out all the time. He supports all of us, not just Arizona United, but people throughout the whole movement. He's trying to get more involved recently. So News Now Phoenix. Yeah. Let's see. Yep. Yeah. Let me do that. Or I'm gonna put them in the comments. That might be easier. So I'm gonna cut the stream right now. Go clean up, and then I gotta travel, figure out who's coming with me, and then I will probably be back live a little bit later. So you all enjoy your evening, and I might see you all later. So bye.